Thanks for joining us on the Druid City Report. I'm Rich Robinson.
And I'm Taylor Wray.
This is the first edition of what we hope becomes an informative series that looks at the biggest issues facing our community. Tuscaloosa is known for many things, including its beautiful and strong oak trees that line many of the city's main thoroughfares. That's where the name for this program comes from, as we see Tuscaloosa as a strong and resilient place with deep roots in the pursuits of progress. The students of the University of Alabama too often fail to engage in the affairs of Tuscaloosa. They're home during their college years. It's our design to change that reality by delving into the most important stories impacting our shared experiences as residents of West Alabama. Today we take a look at the state of crime and public safety in the city.
In an attempt to help eliminate youth violence, West Lawn Middle School recently hosted its second annual Stop the Violence Summit. Reporter Reshad Hudson shows you how educators are teaming up with community leaders to try to make a difference.
So our eyes wait upon the Lord our God.
We've all heard the saying, violence is not the answer. That message was reinforced at West Lawn Middle School's second annual Stop the Violence Summit.
This is what I want our students to walk away with. Number one, I want them to stay out of the casket. I want them to stay out that casket, and I want them to make good decisions that will keep them out of the casket at an early age. So what I want them to do is stay away from arguing, stay away from fighting, stay away from he said, she said, and make good decisions and be young leaders like we know they can be.
When asked, had any of the students ever had an encounter with gun violence, nearly every hand went up.
My uncle got shot. He's in the hospital now, and I might wake up one day and he could be dead.
I'm here today for the Stop the Violence here in Tuscaloosa because it's getting a little bit outrageous.
The program was aimed to keep violence out of communities like this and to inform the students on what to do if they encounter such violence.
Starts at home. Tell your kids don't do the things that they're doing, or if they are doing anything, tell them to stop.
For the Druid City Report, I'm Reshad Hudson.
While making sure that the streets are safe is the shared responsibility of countless officers in the police force, one man bears the brunt of the burden. Stephen Anderson is the police chief of Tuscaloosa. He is also the first African American to hold that position and has a full agenda on his plate in a city dealing with illegal drug use, crime as a result of population displacement from the April 27 tornadoes, and a new red light camera system. I recently spoke with Chief Anderson in his office at police headquarters.
Moving on to a different issue that affects students in many ways, younger students, of course, is school safety across the elementary and high schools in this city. Sandy Hook happened over a year ago, and everybody is thankful that there's not been another major school shooting. But in the aftermath of that and moving forward, has city leaders and yourself, have you guys made a committed effort to try to shore up even more safety in elementary and high schools?
Yes, we have our school resource officer program, which we've had in place for years. We currently do not have any school resource officers assigned to the elementary schools. All of our resource officers are assigned to middle schools and high schools, but each officer that has a high school that's in their feeder system, elementary school is in the feeder system that feeds into the middle schools, and the high schools, they have the responsibility of meeting with the faculty and staff at the elementary school and going over a safety plan and a security plan for the school system. And we also have a gentleman by the name of Abner Green, who's a lieutenant within our department, and he is the liaison between the city school system personnel and the police department, and he works constantly on updating their security and safety plans.
And you feel the city is as safe as it can be in terms of its schools?
Yes, we're very proactive when it comes to securing our schools, and to that end, I feel like we're doing a good job on that.
Another issue that is not nearly as dramatic or as sexy, but some people get upset about it anyway, and others are really champions for it, is the red light cameras that are now starting to go up across the city of Tuscaloosa. You're a supporter of that personally, but as chief of police, what has the impact been, do you feel, on issues on the roads?
Well, the biggest issue is that people want to be safe on the roads as they drive back and forth to wherever they're going. And to that end, excuse me, to that end, what we're seeing with the red light cameras is we want to change and modify the behavior of the people that are using our roadways. Obviously, we don't have enough police officers that we can station them at every intersection to modify behavior, but those cameras can be out there 24/7 and do just that.
And looking at as LDOT continues to approve more projects and whatever the case may be, do you feel that we're going to get to a point in a few years' time where maybe across the country as well, most major intersections will have a red light camera of some kind?
I hope so. I think that they're a great deterrent. And the red light cameras for us, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of other cities, it's not to generate revenue, but they're designed to modify driving behavior and make the streets and highways safer for everyone. And that's the total focus of those cameras.
Looking, only a couple more questions for you here. I'm going back into your kind of day-to-day part of the job. Is there something that really kind of keeps you up at night in terms of what you're worried about, or is there anything that just sort of frustrates you as a continual issue that you're constantly having to deal with?
Just the property crimes that we have in the city of Tuscaloosa, those are the things that I'm really concerned about, because we have a lot of people in our community that have invested a lot, not only into their homes, but their businesses, and yet we have so many individuals out here in our community that are committing crimes and victimizing those people. And no matter how many times we arrest those individuals, it just seems that we cannot get them off the streets. So that keeps me up at night. Also, the state of our prison system. We have a very serious overcrowding issue with the prisons in the state of Alabama, and as a result of that, people that need to be in prison are not in prison, and they're being placed in community correction programs where they're still staying in the communities and they're still committing crimes and victimizing the people of our community. So those things concern me greatly, and I would like to see at some point in time our governor and our state legislators do something about our conditions of our prison, whether it's do something to generate more funds to build more prisons to house these individuals. It's just something, because we've got to have some relief.
We'll hear more from Chief Anderson later in this broadcast as we take a look at his personal life and style as the top cop in Druid City.
It's been over a year since the Sandy Hook massacre claimed the lives of 20 children in a sleepy Connecticut town. After a national conversation on the safety of schools, the city of Tuscaloosa took notice. Hannah Ward filed this report on what new measures are being employed to make our children safer.
Not so fast. Anyone entering a Tuscaloosa County school no longer lets themselves in.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the only way into a Tuscaloosa County school is through the main office.
You have to have a reason to be on campus to be allowed into the building.
David Sellers is Tuscaloosa County Schools Director of Operations. He constantly inspects the school system's recent $200,000 security upgrade. School systems now have more security cameras, doors that constantly stayed locked to the outside, and no weapon signs that are all over the campuses. With all the new enhancements, Sellers knows that securing a school goes well beyond technology.
We certainly always look at ways to evaluate our safety plans, ways that things can be done better.
Tuscaloosa City Schools made similar upgrades.
May I help you?
I'm here to see Principal Sellers. Plus some additional upgrades.
You may come to the office.
That will also regulate who is inside the building.
If a person of threat somehow ends up here in the hallways of a Tuscaloosa City School, installments have been put in to reduce the chances of them ending up in here.
All classrooms within the school building stay locked from the outside at all times. The teacher is the only person authorized to approve a person to enter the classroom, and students no longer roam the hallways without a teacher or faculty member. Principal Sellers walked me around the building to demonstrate to me their new installments. As we all know, students don't spend all day in the classroom.
The lunchroom is located at the back of the school, so someone would have to come in through the front in order to get there.
Common areas are the only rooms in the school that law officials have approved to be unlocked.
With gun sales at a record high, many women in the Tuscaloosa area are turning to arming themselves for personal protection. Taylor Wray filed this report.
While some women rummage through store racks for shoes, clothing, and makeup, others are looking to purchase something with a little more bang. More and more females are buying firearms for protection. The National Shooting Sports Foundation reports that women are the fastest growing demographic of gun owners.
There's definitely been an increase in females purchasing and looking at firearms. It's an everyday deal for us. We get at least 1 or 2 females per day. On busy days, we'll get a lot come in.
A 2012 study by the National Shooting Sports Foundation says that 61% of firearm retailers saw an increase of females in their stores. As a result, manufacturers have targeted women in their advertising. Now there are pink and purple guns, cases, and holsters in stores across the United States, but the girly guns aren't always the best fit.
You know, they'll say, hey, I've had this situation happen to me and I want to protect myself. And then there's a lot of questions involved with buying a firearm. There's no overlaying best firearm. It has to do with situation and each individual person.
Some women who choose to own firearms come to shooting ranges like this one just south of Tuscaloosa to hone their skills and become better acquainted with their firearms.
Makes me feel a little bit more confident when I hold a gun, because you don't want to just go out and buy a gun and then try to use it to defend yourself and have no idea how to load it, cock it, anything about it.
The Pew Research Center reports that 65% of women gun owners cite protection for the main reason they own weapons, and 80% say that having a firearm makes them feel safer.
Just feel protected. I feel like, I can go anywhere. If I break down, if I'm at the gym, if I go shopping, I know I'm protected. I don't need anybody else to go with me.
Chief Stephen Anderson never thought he would end up as the man in charge of TPD, but after attending the University of Alabama, Anderson could never find it in him to leave. After 14 years on the force, he was appointed by Mayor Walt Maddox as Chief of Police in 2008.
What about obviously people look at some of these areas. You mentioned Alberta, you mentioned western parts of the city that are predominantly African American, and you mentioned those are also some problem areas as well. When you look at those things and you see that correlation, does that make you particularly upset because you are also African American, or are you able just to kind of look at it in terms of, statistical and data driven? Because it seemed like, anyway, just talking to you, you had almost a visceral reaction that you were even a little bit more upset because maybe there's people that you knew or whatever.
It angers me when I see African American males or females committing crime, because there's absolutely no reason why anybody has to commit crime. If you take advantage of the opportunities that you're given in the educational system growing up in the schools and take advantage of other opportunities that you have in the community, there's absolutely no reason why you should have to be out here dealing drugs, breaking into people's homes or cars, or stealing from them. And so it does anger me when I see African American males and females who are not taking advantage of an education, because if they don't have that foundation and a good proper education, they're going to struggle in life. And I see too many males and females from our African American community that have no desire to be in school and have neglected that education, and now they're out on our streets committing crimes. And it infuriates me, because if I can do it, I'm not the most intelligent person in the world. I wasn't the smartest student in my high school, but if I can do it because I have the desire to better myself, they can do it also. And it just makes me upset that they don't take value in that, and that they tend to discredit education and the value of an education.
And you feel the police department plays a role in trying to fix those issues?
Yes, we do. I'm involved in mentoring at several of the local city schools here, as well as many of the police officers that work here that are African American, and we're trying to do something positive with the students. We work with elementary school and middle school students to try to reach them at an early age, to let them know that just because you're an African American male does not mean that you have to become a statistic by either having an early death because of some violent action that you're involved in, or that you have to resort to a life of crime. We try to go out in the community and be positive role models for them.
We thank you for spending a small part of your day with us.
This has been the Druid City Report. Get engaged and connect to your community.